Hey, let's talk about games.
Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video talking about Inquisitor Martyr. Now, we've had a very small addition to the game, an emphasis on small, but for some of you it may be worth note. So what we've had added is a small DLC. Now within this DLC we have a new priority assignment which contains 3 missions, and these are standard maps like any other map you played in this game. There's no voice dialogue for them. There is a little bit of text though explaining the actual story and setting, and what you get from doing all of this, you get a helmet. Now we are embarking on the last of the 3 missions. As we speak, we are loading on up to have a little purge and a little see of how we do. We're going to be checking out the item and discussing some thoughts on this system. So firstly, I know that there are going to be people, and there certainly are that I've met already, people surprised at this business model. Now I would say, in fairness, this was announced back in 2017, fairly early on within 2017 at that there would be, within the first year, 22 DLCs, which would be ranging of sort of the up to $5 mark. Now this one is actually priced at £2 or $3, which for some of you may seem a rip-off, for others may seem fairly cheap depending on where you come from and what you're used to paying. It certainly is a curious business decision to see a full-priced game offer such features, although currently as it stands it is the only thing within the store. We know the total after about a year will come to, I believe it was $50. I'm not 100% sure on that, do not quote me, but I think that was the original sort of estimate. And it certainly is I think a fairly valid argument as to, well, why are you mixing the two? I would say at this point, if we head over and look at some of the item stores within, say, well, what this game will be compared to a lot, Path of Exile, which has a free-to-play model. You can buy the, well, you don't have to buy the game at all, you just download the game and then you can play away. But to buy a single, let's say, set of armor, it will cost you a hell of a lot more than $3. The total after buying a set of armor within that game would probably run you close to the price of Martyr and this DLC. So yes, they are mixing the two, but they're not matching the price of the other model, so I think that's something to take into account. But it is, again, very curious. And there's certainly going to be many that are going to say, well, the actual content for this is a little bit underwhelming. And I would say, if you're buying this because you think it's somehow going to be enriching the game, the job of this DLC is not like, I don't know, a map pack from a multiplayer game that's there to make your experience last X amount more time. This is basically a vanity item for people that like the vanity side of things. If you don't like the helmet, that's a fairly big factor in not buying this, I would say. And if you don't like the actual stories or the actual missions, this is not going to change that for you. And I would actually be, and I'm going to get some flack for this I'm sure, but I would be totally against this containing a lot of content in a DLC format, and I tell you why, because then it would be saying buy this or you're going to be missing out on fun. If they had things like skill points or attribute points within this type of content, then you're leaning towards pay to win, and I would be strongly against that. But even if there were completely new map biomes, for example, that you had to buy, I would be totally against that, because that stuff should be free, and it is within the seasons. The season system as such, which is free, and when they've advertised in the past that future content would be free, they never actually said those words, they've said seasons will be free. There is a little bit of confusion, I think. Neocore have always said that this would happen, that there would be DLCs, so none of this goes against any of their advertising as far as I'm aware. But if you do think I'm misrepresenting anything, let me know down in the comments. But as far as I'm aware, according to their articles they pumped out in early 2017, this is entirely consistent with that. You're going to be getting yourself a few small DLCs, and at the end of the year there will be a larger DLC / expansion type doodah hickey. Who knows what that will be, if it'll be any good. Now, there is sort of the elephant in the room, because although I've said I don't think this should really include much more content, because then it's sort of mandatory to buy it instead of being completely optional. And Actually, before we move on, let's also discuss the fact you can use an in-game currency to buy this. This is not something you have to spend actual cash to enjoy. You can spend 1,200 fate, which is a fair bit. That is getting on close to sort of 90 missions, and assuming you run a mission in 3 minutes, which I think is doable if you're at the end game, it's still going to take you a little while to unlock enough fate to do it, but if you've been playing the game for a while and you enjoy the game, you're probably going to have that fate sat by. If you do not enjoy the game, you probably won't, and then I can appreciate feeling a little bit left out. But if you don't enjoy the game, you're not going to really enjoy this, in all honesty. The map is a tile set we've already seen, although the configuration for the previous mission was definitely one not familiar to me, but again, it is a same biome. You're not going to see anything dramatically new. Now, back to the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is, where is the actual content for this game? Because I may have said that I don't think these DLCs should have much that is sort of mandatory to enjoy the game, but I do think the game desperately needs a big content patch in order to make the game enjoyable. It's no secret that the player base is dwindling. It's no secret that the other night it went down to nearly less than 100 players. I think it was 110 for a while, and I'm not someone that watches the player base every day as a real metric as to how good a game is, but if it's that low, then something is something is failing to hold the players or making them dissatisfied and leave. And the question is, when is something going to come to address that? Because this is not something that has addressed that in the slightest. This will not bring players back to the game that are bored. I don't know. And the truth is, I do think we kind of need to know, because everyone's a little bit in the dark right now as to what's going on. We've had the visual changes recently to the social system, which came in after everyone had already left the game. Good to have, important to have for the console people, but for the 200, 300 PC players, having the new chat windows not going to get the player base back above 1,000 again, which I think would be a good starting point. That is going to come from content, feature changes, and things that when people play they enjoy. The question is, what have the rest of the developers been doing the last couple of months, and what are we going to see coming forward from here? What's going to be changing? Are there going to be item changes? Are there going to be balance changes? Because as you'll notice from me playing through this investigation, I don't believe I had the option of changing difficulty, and I can only describe it as slightly mind-numbing. It's not a familiar or even comfortable difficulty of ARPG. It is just clicking on enemies every now and again and watching them squish. Could this be harder? Would I enjoy it a little bit more if it was? Yes. Maybe I'd also moan that I'd like to just steamroll it quickly and get my goddamn helmet. Maybe I'm a tough one to please in that matter. But we are nearly there toward the end of the mission, and I think in reflection, again, I would in summary say, if you like the actual little text stories, and if you like the actual events of this game, if you like the actual game, then I think this is probably going to be something that's going to make you happy. But if you're buying this, either with cash or with fate, with a view to make the game more exciting and more enjoyable, of course you're going to get let down, because this is more of the same. However, it's the actual, in my view, and feel free to disagree with me, it's the core game that needs to change, not these little DLCs. The job of these DLCs isn't to fix months of problems. It's just to add a little cosmetic for you to get, and there you go. Continue. Are we done? Are we not done? We've got to go some more. It said 3 missions. Let me do the next one and fast forward to getting the bloody helmet. Right, and here we are 10 hours later, because the last bloody mission was a purge. So, last mission gave us the Redeemer helmet. We're going to click on that. We're going to go accept, and we're going to press the I button to bring it up, and there we go. This is your prize. This is something, if you think it's your cup of tea, you could always mix it with some different looking armour, a bit like that, bit like that. You could always change your colours, bit like that. I mean, score out of 10, guys. Maybe let me know down in the comments, and please ignore the fact that everything I have is a really weird salmon colour for some reason. Guys, what do you think? I'm giving this a solid 6.5 out of 10. Guys, have yourself a great week and I'll see you around. Take care, all the best.